Hello everyone, my name is Eric Jones and we are going to take a look at a lecture entitled Personnel Management. It's probably one of the most difficult things that we can do as business owners, or even in a supervisory position working for someone else, and that's managing the people below us. And I threw the picture here of the kitty cat here on the first slide to kind of just lighten the mood about personnel management, because one of the biggest things that we've always found had difficulty with them doing is people showing up on time. Monday mornings at 8 o'clock, you still got crew members coming in at 8:15, even 8:30, and they're always late. And they're always late returning to the shop in the afternoon when they should have been back hours ago. They're dragging it on. They got to make up for that time they missed in the morning. So let's go ahead and get started with personnel management. In labor, it is the largest single budget item for any landscape management project. This is where not only education, but you're really going to get this information just from experience. How long does it take for a project of this scope to be done, whether it be the 10-minute mowing job, the 2-day irrigation job, or a week's 1 week landscape installation job? How long is it going to take you and your crew to complete the job? And basically, again, this goes back to your personal experience. You cannot learn this in textbooks. You cannot learn this from someone else. You've physically got to get out there and know how much time it's supposed to take to do these jobs. Yes, there's all kinds of spreadsheets put out by the experts that you should be able to cut so many square feet of turf in an hour and things of that nature. But when it comes to your company and your sites that you're mowing on, it's going to take the owner getting out there, or the supervisors getting out there and seeing how long it should really take to do this. And my dad, he was always good for going out and doing the jobs himself first, and he could cut if he could cut the yard in 15 minutes, he expected his crew to be able to cut the yard in 15 minutes. But what we had found is that me and him would go out and do some of these yards ourselves. We'd get done in 15-20 minutes, where it was taking our crews 30 minutes. And it's just, the employees were not as dedicated as we'd like to see them. And plus they're an hourly employee, so the longer they take, they think they're more money they're going to get. So if they can extend each yard by so many minutes, they're racking up on the overtime. So we started looking at doing piece rate labor and things of that nature shortly before I went into teaching. But you've got to get out there and see how long it takes to do your jobs. Supervision. The greatest challenge to graduating students and even new managers is not problem diagnosis or product knowledge, but the lack of experience in supervising people. And this is so true. You can be the expert in your field. You could be the absolute best irrigation installer out there. You know all the products, you know all the ways that you can save the customer money by using advanced products, and you could just be the best irrigation guy out there. I mean, every company would hire you based on your resume and based on the education that you've gotten, the certifications that you've gotten. But you may have a problem supervising people, and this is very hard for people that's not been in a position to supervise. That's why I absolutely love hiring Veterans. They are coming from the military. They've come from a very disciplined background. It's very, very good experience for people, especially in the lower ranks, that they can move up from a soldier up to a squad leader, up to a section leader, and up to maybe even platoon sergeant within so many years, and that puts people in a supervisory position. And it is very difficult to hire graduates right out of college because they haven't had that supervisory position unless they were like myself, that had to work all the way through school and were able to to take a crew out and do things. So we preferred hiring veterans, and sometimes it's easier to train the people how to do the horticulture work or the irrigation work that's got good supervisory skills than it is to hire that irrigation expert and teach them the supervisory skills that they need. So when you are interviewing and hiring your candidates, you need to have a job description. And there's organizations out there that have generic job descriptions or job titles that you can reference to, but you need to come up with one that's going to fit your company. What is it that you're looking for? Are you looking for the education? Are you looking for the experience? Are you looking for appearance? And you can't discriminate against people, but yeah, you may not want to hire the guy that's got 20 piercings in his face. You need to know what that, but you can't discriminate on paper that way. And you need to know what type of personality you're looking at. Your firm, your company, the type of image that you want your company to uphold. The characters of your other employees, their personalities. So you wouldn't want to hire somebody that's going to conflict with the overall personality of the company. And then on the application form, of course, always be careful of what you ask the candidate. You can't ask, how old you are. You can't ask what race. Even if you're a woman or female, leave all that stuff out. We can't discriminate that. I know women out there that could work several men under the table. They're hard workers, and I would be more than happy to have them on my crew, whether it be installation, irrigation, or even maintenance. I watched my mom and my aunt work themselves silly when things were great within our company. Mom and my aunt ran the pruning crews. They were the ones out there every day pruning. That was something they enjoyed. They would spend time together, and they could work any of our men employees underneath the table. So be careful what you ask on your job applications. You need to ask questions about, hey, what's your highest level of education? What certifications you have, things of that nature. Nothing about race, religion, or, if you're a man or a woman. So here is a table out of one of the textbooks, but qualities of a supervisor. A supervisor must be able to work with people, of course. They are going to be the miniature boss of a crew, as I like to call it. You need to evaluate the applicants for supervisory or leadership roles in relation to the following. Does the person have adequate supervisory ability and experience? And based on their resume, you can see that. Hey, they could have been a shift manager, in high school of a fast food restaurant. That's good supervisory skills. Did they work somewhere while they were in college? Were they a Boy Scouts troop leader, Girl Scouts troop leader? Were they put in charge of any type of organization like that? Has a person demonstrated leadership ability? How does the person work with others? Can he or she communicate readily and clearly with employees, other supervisors, clients, and management? And guys, you're going to have that hunch feeling when you meet somebody. You're going to be like, wow, this young man, this young woman, spoke to me clearly. They were enthusiastic. They're going to be the type of employee that I would want talking with our clients. Can the prospect make good decisions? Again, that's going to be tough to know right off the bat. But if you have a person come in for an interview and you see that they've got a good track record, good work history, they've worked for a landscape company for 5 years, they felt it was just time to move on, that is a good decision to move on. But somebody that's got sporadic work track, that they've worked for 20 different landscapers in the last 2 years, that's somebody that's probably not made good decisions. How successfully can the individual delegate responsibility or assignments? Again, going to be tough to see during an interview, but again, you can go on that hunch feeling. Will the person overreact to the promotion or new authority? Again, we'd have to hire them to see that. How will the person accept advice or criticism from superiors? And technically, I could pick up on that pretty quick, just from my military experience, by talking to a young person or a new employee, and the questions that you ask during the interview, you can get that information about it when you certain questions that you do ask them. Can the applicant assume the added responsibility, track record, call their previous employers? And a lot of this information you could get from previous employers. And does the prospect have sufficient stamina? And guys, we all know our work is very, very tough. It's very time demanding. It's very hard on the body, especially the growing season. Yeah, we may be chilling out during the winter months unless we're doing a bunch of snow removal. But when it hits March on up until November, even into December, we're still working hard cleaning up our properties for Christmas. You may be doing holiday decorations for your clients. So I'd say in my area here in central North Carolina, we've got a good 9-10 months worth of work that we work very hard. And is this potential employee going to be able to are they going to be able to hang with you? Because a lot of times, they may look great on paper, they may do great in the interview, but are they going to be able to get out there and do the work? Of course they can do the work, but are they willing to? That's the big difference. And I've always made the mistake of trying to compare somebody's work habits to mine. I was brought up in the industry, and mom and dad made me work. I mean, there was no ifs, ands, buts about it. It wasn't a matter of getting a paycheck. It was me and my brother worked hard to avoid, a butt whooping from dad. I mean, he didn't take no joke when it came to us helping them in the nursery, or actually helping them mow after school. We worked hard. Yes, they paid us, but we wanted to work hard, to make mom and dad happy. Employees aren't that way. They don't see giving 110%, and it's kind of mixed emotions there. You want them to be as dedicated as you are, but then again, you can understand why that they're not, and that's why you've got to build in some motivation to help your employees. So, where to look when you need to hire somebody? Community college is a great place to start, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a horticulture or turf grass program. It could be any type of the ag sciences, or even the business degree students, that could come out. I've always said, if you learn the business end of running a company, you could pretty much work for anybody out there, because they can teach you how to do the work. Universities, we may not all be lucky enough to live near one of the agricultural schools, but definitely the community colleges are out there within North Carolina, and I would do some advertising there. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a turf grass or a horticulture program. I would look at the business students, even some of the diesel programs. You may need mechanics, but a lot of times these students become good landscapers. Newspaper advertisements, yeah, can get kind of costly, but I would definitely put that in there, especially during the busy year. But one thing my dad's still doing right now is Craigslist. Very easy to do. He keeps a listing in there, so people are continually talking, and he's always had the philosophy of hire slow, fire fast. So if you keep that ad posting out there, you're going to continually get phone calls about the job, set up the interview, and go from there. And then promote within your own company, especially if you're a larger company. If you have a crew leader that moves on or starts his own business, promote within. That builds morale. Advertise on your social media. Advertising that to your clients is a good way. We've hired a lot of our clients children during the summer months when they're home from college, and that always kind of got us out of a bind. They may not be the most efficient mowing person on the crew, but you could put them on flower installation or flower maintenance. We've hired several of our clients, college age students, to work, both male and female, and we would put them, if they didn't feel comfortable mowing, they could always be spreading mulch, doing all kinds of stuff, and not necessarily have to pay them as much as you would as somebody that's full time. They're just wanting a part-time job for the summer. Mom and dad wants to keep them busy, and what better place than to do that is with your landscape company. See them and call them and see if the kids can work for them. And then Indeed.com. Guys, I always search Indeed.com. I just want to know what jobs are out there. It's not that I'm looking for a job, but I always get on Indeed.com, type in horticulture, type in landscape architect, and I search like all of North Carolina. I just want to see what's out there because, yes, it's easy to find a job when you have a job. It's always harder for somebody who's unemployed to find that job. But what I do is I look for my students, I look for my friends, I look for even myself if something's out there that grabs my attention, but I'm not willing to relocate. But I always search Indeed.com because that just lets me know, hey, what are the companies out there looking for? Evaluating resumes. Grades are not the most important indicator of knowledge, and that is the absolute truth. I got a little story about when my brother graduated college. We went to his graduation, and we were sitting in the auditorium, and the dean of his school came across the stage, and he's like, "Hey, where's all my where's all my A students?" He had all these people stand up, and yay, mom and dad's clapping, being really, really happy, and that's my son, that's my daughter. Had a big cheer of the A students. And the dean's like, "All right, y'all sit down. Now, where's my B students?" B students stood up, and he had parents clapping and saying, "Yay, that's my kid," but it wasn't as loud as it was for the A students. Then the dean said, "All right, B students, sit down. Where's all my C students?" And they stood up, including my brother. We were both, average students. Our problem is that we worked through college. But the dean's like, "All right, my C students, stand up." There's a few claps. Again, it was toned down a lot from the A and B students. And the dean looked out in the crowd. He says, "You know what, you A and B students, I want you to meet your future bosses." He said, because the C students are the ones that I will see out in industry making it all the way to the top. And you know something, I believe him to this day. I've seen my brother within his career move up the ladder. He has a great job. He's on his second great job. He had left his first company and actually went to doing the same type of work within the banking industry. He is a software engineer, and he has climbed his way to the top, making good money. And he was a C student. Same thing with me. I was A's and B's. My last year in college, I did have a 4.0 my last year. That's when I decided to buckle down and quit chasing young women at school. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna focus this last year, and I pulled up my GPA, very good final GPA by focusing that last year in college. I wish I'd have done it the first 3 as well, but that's my little sideline conversation about grades and being a teacher myself. Yes, I have students that are BC students that I would hire more quickly over my straight A students. It's the overall it's the person overall. You know, are they hard workers? Are they a good student? Do they have the passion? You know, I have students that have straight A's, but they don't have the passion for horticulture as some of my BC students. And who do you want working for you more? You want somebody that's passionate about their work, that'll give that 110%. Are there gaps in the work history? My resume is small because I've only worked for my parents, Uncle Sam, and now teaching. So I have hardly any gaps within my work history, and I have years to back that. Is the resume too cute or too slick? You don't want it to be fancy. You want it straight to the point. Where have you worked? What are your skills? And what's the objective? My objective is I want to become an employee of this company. It's time for me to move up. Interviewing. Make sure it's in a public place, and that can be at your office. Have a conference room. If you're fortunate enough to do that, don't bring it into your office. Whereas people might feel a little nervous just going into the boss's 10 by 10 office. Try to have a conference room, a large table, and that way the interview can be conducted by 2 or 3, so you don't have that you don't instill that fear in the candidate. I remember when I interviewed for my teaching position, I was interviewed by a hiring committee. There was a group of 5 people that interviewed me, and I had to do a PowerPoint presentation after they interviewed me to see that I could teach, and it was on trends in the landscape industry. And I did a 10 slide PowerPoint on what I thought the trends were in landscaping, and the biggest thing back then was outdoor rooms. They just wanted to see that I could use PowerPoint and actually present to people. But we're not asking our clients to do this. Make sure you read their resume before the interview. This kind of gives you a history of the candidate. Let the candidate do most of the talking. That makes them feel a little bit better. Doesn't make them feel so stressed out about you doing most of the talking. Inquire about their goals in the next 2 to 5 years. Avoid indications of permanent employment. Don't tell them that this job is forever and ever theirs. Never indicate that it's permanent employment. And then let the candidate know what the next step is. They don't want to get up from the interview and be like, okay, do I call to see if I got the job? Do I send an email? Let them know we're going to discuss your candidacy. We're going to let you know by phone call in the next 2 to 3 days what we think, or by U.S. mail. You can let them know that. I've applied with other jobs within the college here, and I know the director of human resources. I know the people that were on the hiring committee, but they still send me a letter in the mail saying whether or not I was awarded this additional duty, or if I was not awarded the additional duty. Salary. Fringe benefits are very important to candidates' families. Well, now we've got to provide health insurance to our employees. Reserve the salary discussions until the job offer is made. You want to make sure that they really want to work for you. And salary can be based on experience, education, supervisory skills. So you can't, I would never say that, hey, all my crew leaders are going to make $14 an hour. I would, if somebody was really worth it and we wanted them on board, if it meant paying them $16, I'm willing to do that. Got to have a general idea of what you're going to pay, but each candidate may be a little bit different. Non-compete contracts. Courts have ruled contracts are unreasonable restriction on the employee and free trade, but some courts have upheld contracts that protect the firm's customer list, client base, and trade secrets. Well, I have a good friend. Well, he's no longer with us. He died 46 years old. Our neighbor had a garage door business, and you may have heard me talk about him in some previous lectures. But Mark, they were born in Tennessee. They moved down here. He moved down here with his parents. So they were neighbors. He was 4 years older than me, so he's died this week. He came down with brain cancer. Sorry, it's a little tough for me, but 3 years ago, just after getting married, he was 6 weeks into his marriage, came down with a brain tumor, and he fought it for 3 years. Very strong, but he had the support of a great woman and a great mother and father. But Mark started a garage door business, and he moved back to Tennessee to do that. And he had worked for another garage door company years prior to it, so he had the experience doing the garage doors. He had the supervisory skills needed to start his own business, and that's what he did with the help of his mom and dad. Started his own garage door business, but he ended up getting sued by the company that he had worked for, even though he was, I forget how many 100 miles away from the company that he'd worked for. Well, they sued him based on a non-compete agreement. Well, it went to court and everything, and he spent quite a bit of money fighting it, but the courts favored in his decision, saying that he was so far away, he did not take the customer's list. I mean, he'd moved so many 100 miles away from where it was at, and it worked. The non-compete did not hold up for him, and he's the type of guy that wouldn't have stole their customer list anyway. I mean, he was a strong enough individual and dedicated to his business. He was going to build his own business. And we had an instance where we had hired a guy to strictly take care of our lawn care customers. It was something I always wanted to get big into with my parents. We were focused mainly on installation and maintenance, but I really wanted to build the lawn care segment. And we had, probably 50 customers that, I was slowly building. Well, what we did was hire an individual to help us build the lawn care. That's all he was going to do. Every day, 5 days a week, all day, was build our lawn care business. Well, we hired him and paid him to market it. He put out flyers on mailboxes, and everything went top. We built the business up fairly quick, and in a couple months we had probably 150 lawn care customers. And we hired him in the spring to do that. Built it, and then it came time to plug and seed. He left And when it came time to aerate and seed in the fall, he left, and he said that he was going to take all the customers that he'd built up for us. We're like, no. Well, we started calling these customers up, and they're like, yeah, we're going to go with Brian. You know, we went with your company because Brian worked there. I'm like, no, but you went ahead and gave us the okay to plug and seed. So we had to fight with some of that. We never pursued it in court or anything like that, but we ended up getting most of the clients back. It was just a situation there where we should have actually talked to an attorney about doing a non-compete contract for this, especially when it deals with customers list. I make sure that the guys from here on out, they really don't know. They don't have a list of the customers. They get their route sheets either on their tablets or printed, and they visit the site and they turn that stuff in back at the end of the day. They're not going to have a complete access to have name, telephone number, and addresses. They might can build it piece by piece, but they're not going to have that complete list. Sorry, I got sidebar conversation again. I try to pull as much life experience into these lectures as at all possible, and I hope that helps with you guys. All right, immigration. 247A of the Immigration and Nationality Act states it's unlawful to employ aliens without proper employment documentation. However, 247B of the Immigration and Nationality Act establishes discrimination based on the individual's national origin or citizenship is unfair and illegal employment practice. Therefore, we must use the Form I-9, Employment Eligibility Verification. And we haven't had to do one of these for our Hispanic employees because it's been a long time since we've had Hispanics workforce. Ever since Dad kind of slowed the business down, we hadn't had to depend so heavily on the Hispanic labor force. I love the Hispanic labor force. They were awesome. When we were using them, we couldn't have done the work without them. I mean, they were just that hard of workers and did not mind working the long hours and weekend hours. You just didn't want to work on Sundays, and I don't blame them for that. But they would work 6 days a week, as many hours as we could give them, and I never had an issue with them showing up. Occasionally you'd have one show up that was, he liked the sauce at night, and he'd show up a little late. But most of them were squared away. They were dedicated to their families. They were dedicated to saving up money to send back to Mexico, and you can't blame somebody for wanting to take care of their family. But this 247A says that you can't hire them without the proper identification. What is the proper identification? Is it the green card? Is it a driver's license? Is it a social security number written down on a napkin? That's probably something you need to ask your attorney. We were told that if they give us a social security number, that was all we needed. We'd fill it out on the I-9 form, and then guess what? We'd wait 2 to 3 years sometimes for some of these guys to get that I-9 form back. Don't know how long it's taken nowadays. You guys probably know more about that if you're using the Hispanic labor force. But we would hire some, fill out the I-9, send it in. They'd work for 6 months, and after they'd left us, we'd get a letter from the government saying, that this is the wrong social security number for, Mr. Jose. We need to figure out who he is. Well, Uncle Sam, he's been gone 6 months. I don't know how to get in touch with him. So they have to show you proper documentation, but you can't discriminate based on the national origin or citizenship. And I agree with that, but they do need to show to you who they are. Employee orientation. Always have an employee handbook. We did ours in 3-ring binders. That way we could always change certain things based on something that happened. So you have an introduction, your hours of operation, and that's continually going to change. We're a horticulture business. We're not 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. We could be 6-7 days a week during the busy season because we're doing retail, nursery as well. Attendance. What is expected of your employees? Are they supposed to be here Monday through Saturday, such and such? And you can have it broke down to certain times of years. Certain time of the year. During the busy season, we work Saturdays. November through February, we're off on Saturdays. We're working 5 days a week. Just kind of let them know. Need to talk about their pay and salaries, and then what benefits that you offer. And we always put in there that you guys are getting workers' comp insurance. We're taking out the taxes that we're supposed to, that you guys can get Social Security. All that is benefits. And now you've got to include the health insurance for your full-time employees. So all that would be in your employee handbook. When we first implemented our employee handbook, we had several guys quit because we'd went to the uniforms. We were just printing T-shirts and giving them a hat. But first thing they do is cut the sleeves out of the T-shirts and make it a muscle shirt. And Dad just got tired of that. We were looking kind of scraggly, so we went to a uniform company service that provided us with the pants and the shirt. We still had our hats. They could still wear the T-shirts if they wanted to, but we wanted to have that same look. And we had several guys quit just because that we went to that uniform system. With an employee orientation, go over the employee handbook with them. The drug and alcohol abuse, we randomly screened our guys for drugs. Harassment, discrimination, discipline, how will you handle situations that come up. Employee safety. And one of my dad's biggest pet peeves was the guys smoking, and I couldn't blame them for that. They did not need to smoke in the trucks, around the trucks. We had gasoline on the truck, we had chemicals on the trucks, so he banned smoking. And then what got us was, we'd be on the client's property, they'd smoke a cigarette and throw the cigarette down on a high-dollar residential yard. They just spent an hour mowing and tucking pine needles and just making the property look great, but right before they leave they throw a cigarette down in the mulch beds. And I'm like, just things like that why people would do what they did. So we banned smoking on the properties and in the trucks. Talk about the grievances. How will you handle that? Workplace civility. If there's a dispute between employees, how do we handle that? And then again, the appearance. You must wear the uniform. We are upholding a image that we want all of our employees to look the same. Employee benefits, fringe benefits, again, are Social Security, workers' comp, unemployment insurance. Let them know that you're legit. You're paying this. You're paying these taxes on these guys. And then other benefits. Is there a pension? Is there profit sharing? Are they eligible for bonuses after working a year or so? Are you going to help them with their continuing education? Dad would always pay for somebody to go get their pesticide license. He'd pay for them to get their certification. But it would be up to them to pay the licensing fee. He's like, as long as they're certified, they can work under me, work under you, but he would pay for that training that school would go for to get them certified. They just have to pay for the license if they want it. Insurance, are you offering the health insurance now? Nowadays it's required. Full-time employees have coverage. And a lot of times we'd have employees that didn't need the insurance. Their spouse, they had insurance through their spouse. So as long as they were covered, or you had a plan in place to take care of that. Evaluating employees. Again, always have that job description. That way they know what's expected of them. Define the performance standards so that everyone understands. Everybody within the organization needs to know your performance standards. And do not wait to discuss improvements or praise the employee at evaluation. I'll tell you what, you get more out of somebody by being nice and saying, hey, good job. Even if it's to an employee that you may be at a little difference with. You might think that they're not doing the best that they can do, but if they do something good, make sure you praise them, because praise will want to make them do better for you. I see that with my students. A pat on the back saying, hey, good job on this lab, and thanks, Mr. Jones, and you automatically start seeing a turnaround in the student that by just a little saying, hey, good job, it makes people want to do better. Same way with me. If my first sergeant came to me and said, Jones, good job, we appreciate what you did today. Hey, I'm like, hey, first sergeant was noticing, I'm gonna keep doing good. Motivation by punishment, fear, and intimidation is the least effective management style. I couldn't agree more. People need to be praised. People need to feel good. They need to know that their superiors are watching them and congratulating them on doing a good job. People-oriented management. You've got to have that communication. You've got to be out there with them. If you're in a supervisory position, make sure that you're visiting the crews, going out to the job sites, walking around. Give them a thumbs up. Hey, guys, this property's looking great. Building people. Make them feel good. Never tear down somebody. I just, that's not my cup of tea. I could never be a drill instructor or drill sergeant. I'm more of a praiser. I don't think I could tear somebody down and then try building them back. I'm always wanting to make somebody feel good. So you do have to build your employees and build their confidence up and show that good leadership. The best leaders are also some of your best followers, and having that leadership skills and wanting your subordinates to do a good job shows that you are that good leader. Positive compliments, of course, they need it every day, and give them the rewards. Give them some tickets to events. Hey, the Green and Grow Show, pay for their ticket to get into the educational thing. That helps them get their Con Ed. It just makes them feel good. Hey, man, the boss, man, he paid for me to go to the Green and Grow Show. Take them to lunch every now and then. And with uniforms, you may have a standardized uniform, but hey, if somebody does really, really well, every so often have an employee of the month. Give them a nice polo with the logo on it, or give them something that's a little bit nicer that they wouldn't actually wear to the job site and to get messed up. That nice collared shirt with the logo on it makes any employee feel good. Managing the Latino employees, it's a growing labor force for our companies. It's good to have your key leaders learn Spanish. Take it at the community college, or give them access to the online learning language like Rosetta Stone. Pay for that. Let your key leaders do that. And you got to remember that some groups don't work well together. We had some guys from El Salvador that didn't like the guys from Mexico. So sometimes you do have to kind of separate them, by crews, because they will, you'll see some turmoil there. We saw it every day. Retaining employees, you got to have that competitive compensation and benefits. You can't pay somebody $10 an hour when they can go down the road and get 12 for the same job. You've got to keep your salary right there with your competitors. Have those solid job descriptions. I can't stress that enough. It's something that you'll always fall back on if there's an issue, and even when it comes time to reward. Have that job description. Incentive programs and rewards. Again, nice polo shirt at the once a month for the employee of the month. Verbal praise and reinforcement. Do that every day. just the small things. Hey guys, thanks for keeping the trucks looking good. Appreciate you getting the trash out. We keep our equipment good, and it's employees like you that let the clients know that we've got clean equipment. Clean equipment means we've got a clean job site. Review and reward. Again, you've got to do those evaluations. Pay attention to diversity issues, especially within the Latino community. Different cultures. They speak the same language, but they may just not get along. You need to bridge the cultural gaps between those guys, and even with your American employees, there may be some issue there, and help these guys to learn. I get along with everybody. It doesn't matter race, ethnicity, women, men, and the Army has helped me do that. Because the Army is all about diversity and bringing people together, and it's easier, I think, probably within the Army because it was a volunteer organization, and we're there because we love America. So we're kind of builds that teamwork, and that's what you kind of need to do within your companies. Advance within the company. People want to see that. If they see that their crew leader has just been promoted to account manager, they know that they can move up within the company. If everything keeps getting hired outside, they may start thinking that this isn't a long time, a career company that I want to stay with. You got to let them know that they can advance within, and have that positive motivation. If you're down and out as the boss man, that probably need to stay in your office that day. You need to stay positive, because if you come across one of your employees in a bad mood or in a negative mood, it's going to wear off on them. They're going to pick up on that. But you being constantly positive, your employees are going to see that and want to be positive as well. Employee theft, casual theft, stealing pens, notebooks, things of that nature. A lot of times it may happen without them knowing it, but it's going to be done. How do we stop that? Have an office manager that watches that stuff like a hawk is what I can say, because people are going to walk out with notebooks and pens, and they're not meaning to. But time theft is one of the biggest things. Guys getting there at 8 o'clock, standing around for 15 minutes before they get in their trucks and leave out, that's time theft, and that will cost you more than anything. And then phone usage. You're issuing cell phones to the guys, and this isn't a problem right now so much. Back when the Nextel days were here, you had unlimited radio, but you had very few cell phone minutes, and you could see, you're paying that $100 a month for that crew leader to have that phone. Well, why is this phone bill $200? Because he's went over on his minutes. Now, pretty much every cell phone plan is unlimited phone time, but the data is what'll kill you. So you got to start watching that, especially if they're using something like Clip software and they're needing that data to make it happen. But these bottom two, time theft and phone usage, is what can cost you the most money. Terminating employees. It's not what you want to do, but sometimes you're just going to have to. You need to have procedures listed in the employee handbook. Should be used as a last resort, and never use demeaning words in dismissal letter or conversation. You got to do it very professional. You may be so angry at this employee that you want to say these bad words, these 4-letter words to them, but you got to do it in a respectful manner to keep you out of hot water. And it's always better to be the better person. Don't use that language, because they'll always remember that. And people will forget what you say to them. They'll forget what you do to them, but they will never forget how you make them feel. And if you make them feel very demeaning or worthless and you hurt their feelings, they're always going to remember that. So always be the better person, and do it very professionally when you have to terminate somebody. Always have a system for employee education. Help them become certified turf grass managers or certified arborists. Have a tuition assistance policy where you pay a little bit towards their education at the community college. Help them go to the conference and trade shows. Have an employee library in the office or the shop that they can check out a book and read it. I mean, you're helping the employee learn about the business. All these are morale builders, especially the certifications. They get certified in this, and they can put that on like their business card that you get printed for them. Things like that. It builds morale, and it's building a long-term career employee. And quote again, I've heard my dad say this time and time again: hire slow, fire fast. And that wraps it up, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope you've enjoyed this lecture, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks.